Especially those who quickly rise through the fancy jobs, they rise to very high salaries, especially once you go above 50 lakhs, etc. Then suddenly you have to showcase, right, the importance of what you're contributing, why you deserve that money. Otherwise, nobody is going to keep you, and then even to climb down becomes very difficult for the individual.
So somebody starts at say 6, 8, 10 somewhere, right? They quickly grow, and then suddenly what happens is this guy with started with a lower salary comes as his boss with a higher salary into the same company.
Yeah. If you see the big companies, right, you won't get the overall picture. You will only get the process view, micro view of what you are doing.
If he's getting 8 lakhs and the job what they're looking for is good, they like it, the profile of the job which they'll be working, if they like it, I think it's a no brainer.
All of this is which is not time bound. As in, when I say not time bound, it has to be done ASAP. Okay, and if it has to be done ASAP, it causes burnout. So how do you manage all these three criteria while still not getting burnt out?
If you go back to one day cricket, right, in my childhood, a team would score 250 was considered a good score in 50 overs. Nowadays, every T20 league is bashing 250 plus in 20 overs.
Currently, as a fresher, you should be able to put that much or more,
Hmm.
for because that's these are the current development years. This is where we're going to grasp the most, understand a lot of things. We know the industry more, know the nitty-gritties of how things are working, how the teams are working, what are different options available.
If there is a meeting set up
Hmm.
at 7 a.m., you have to be there. You can do later on, post meeting, whatever you can do, you want to do. So you can brush your teeth also post that. But yeah, but you have to be there in the meeting when the person is there. People actually work for another, like they will
Moonlight.
study, yeah, moonlighting, or they will study and get a new job, a better job on from what they are doing. So people are there to like make use of many things. Like
Yeah, actually, this paternity leave concept this came from the American world where there's nothing like going to Micah, your mother's place. But in the Indian context, it is different. So I
So you have to ensure that you kill two people on the way to the front. Hey, hi, welcome everyone. So we are entering into season three of Titan Stock. So we're glad to tell you that only 1% of podcasts cross 20 episodes across the globe. And Karthik, thanks to you, we have crossed
thank you, Gautam.
and we have become the top 1% podcast in terms of the content, the sheer volume of content, and hopefully we make it to the top 1% in terms of viewership as well. So today we have with us. Shantanu and Sarvesh with us, joining ex Vishwakarma alumni. So we want to talk about specifically about building high performance engineering teams in tech giants. So when you look at large companies, right, they build very good technology teams and engineering teams. How do they build it within them? What they look for? If I'm a student watching you guys talk, I want to know how does a big company think in terms of high performance engineering teams, and how do they want to take it from there? So what we'll do is we'll go around for a bit of introduction about Shantanu and Sarvesh and all of us, and then we will go into delving deep into the topic. Okay,
Sure.
Shantanu,
sure,
please start. uh,
yeah.
tell about yourself.
First of all, thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you.
It's a honor actually for me to have me here. So, um, so to start with my intro, I have so post my engineering, right? I've joined iGate as a campus placement. Then so I worked as a PLM in PLM product lifecycle management.
Mhm.
So from there, so there I have actually used ARAS as PLM, ARAS PLM and Innovia, all those kind of PLM tools. Then post that I did my MBA from Sydenham College in Mumbai, Churchgate. So there I did MBA in finance. Post that I joined JP Morgan. So I was shifted to Bangalore. Post that, so I worked there in their F&BM team, so finance and business management team. So we used to cater to the sales team, right? They're called client advisors there for their pipeline. So usually they will get the business to the asset management firm, and then we would track them. So we used to use Salesforce as a tool to track their opportunity, how the money gets into the organization. So there I learned all the life cycle of asset management, how the money comes into the company, how it gets, how the basis points are charged, and then how the accounts are created, right? So all that process I learned there. Post JP Morgan, I joined Moody's Analytics. So there I was part of research and investment research. So we used to write commentaries for the funds, mostly into asset management division, right? So there I led a team for in the marketing operations. So we used to create marketing collaterals, right? Fact sheets for, so if you see the mutual funds, right? Every month you will get the fact sheet or the performance numbers. So we used to create those kind of materials. So I was leading a team from India uh, to produce all those materials. Then so currently I'm working in State Street Global Advisors. It's part of State Street, but it is the asset management division. It's now the fifth largest asset manager in the world, with the assets of around 5 trillion. So there I'm part of, so I'm an officer manager there. Um, so there I'm part of global proposal management. So we create all the proposals for the clients. So we liaise with the sales team and the strategy team. So we get all the data from the team, then we get so we tailor that content according to the client's needs, and then we send it to the client. So right now I'm into those things now.
Got it.
Yeah.
Thanks, Shantanu. Sarvesh, quickly about what you do. And
Thanks, Gautam. Firstly, thanks, Gautam. Thanks, Karthik sir, for having us here. So, I start with VIT. I have completed my mechanical engineering. So, post VIT, worked with ZF in Pune. I worked as a customer quality engineer there. I worked for a couple of years, and then I thought it's the next taking the next step ahead. So, shifted my focus back to studies. I've completed my master's in automotive engineering from Coventry University in the UK, and then from there I came back to India. Coming back, found the job here at Engine Cal. So currently working there itself. So for the past decade, I've been working with Engine Cal, and currently I'm working as VP engineering. So I head the engineering or look after all the engineering part which goes into Engine Cal currently. So the product development and in the engineering, whatever goes behind the products we're developing. So that is what I look into. So at EngineCal, we are an automotive product company. So we make products for the automotive industry, and it spans across the automotive sector, right from OEMs to aftermarket and sales. So it's service stations. So we work with all of them currently.
got it. Thanks, Karthik. So, quick intro about Karthik. Also, Karthik is now, if you would rank the top placement officers across India, Karthik is tasked with placing 5,000 engineering graduates every year. So, it would rank amongst the top 5 or 10 institutes across India. So, go ahead, Karthik. I
Yeah.
don't know if you would have told that, so I wanted to tell.
Yeah. First of all, congrats, Gautam, for ensuring that we have reached our 21st episode of our podcast. It's indeed a pride to be, among the top 1%, as you say, of podcast to reach to keep continuing. Because I think consistency in any activity is also a measure of success. It indicates that we have been able to do the right thing. As for myself, currently I am the central placement officer for Vishwakarma Group for engineering. So currently we have three colleges: Vishwakarma Institute of Technology, Vishwakarma Institute of Information Technology, and Vishwakarma University, where we have almost currently around 2,600 students graduating each year in the final year. Though, of course, things have changed rapidly, and in the next 2 years, we would be graduating almost 5,000 students only from Vishwakarma Institute of Technology, and let's say another 5 600 from Vishwakarma University. So that makes it almost 5,500 to 6,000 students we may be graduating, engineering students, by 2028. Because there are also a lot of students that come in through diploma in engineering in second year and so on. So that's how student count keeps increasing as they reach the final year. As for myself, I have been with Vishwakarma now for, I think this is my 25th year currently. Joined in 2000 2001 season. And initially, I was a faculty in computer engineering. Later, I was head of department of computer engineering for 6 years, from 2010 to 16. So that time, I had the privilege of connecting with industry and ensuring that we have a internship model in place, because we became autonomous in 2008 9. And when I became the head of department, that was the first time we started sending students as interns. Initially, it started as summer interns, but later, we even that time, we started sending students for a 6 month internship. We were the pioneers in that. And then later, of course, I moved to as a dean examinations for 2 years. And since 7 8 years now, I'm central head of the placements for Vishwakarma Group. So it's been an amazing journey, and a lot of challenges, but looking forward to see how to ensure our 5,000 students get internships and jobs. Yes, thank you.
Thanks, great. Thanks for introducing. So I wanted to, kind of start off with a bit of a journey and then go into the whole thing, so that so you guys are, probably nostalgic with Vishwakarma in the mix, and then meeting as, from students and alums and now friends. So in the same city. So wanted to, start off with you, Sarvesh. I have a question for you. So you joined a company as an employee, and then grew yourself to VP of engineering, and then eventually been given the co-founder status as well, right?
Yeah.
So if somebody, let's say for example, most people may not start a company, but then if what should they do, and what was your journey, how did you become co-founder, what value did you provide, what did they find, and all of that, sir?
I think initially it was just the passion of the subject. Uh, Automotive engineering is what, or mechanical engineering, where I started from, was where I wanted to be, and that's what I tried to pursue through my career as well. So in that, I think it's just the love for what I'm doing is what pushed me through this whole journey, and has got me to where I am currently. So it's the love for it, and also like hard working through different courses, what I learned across, and applying all the knowledge which I learned in my bachelor's, my master's, and applying those to day activities or in the product development what we worked on, and then now creating products which are like state of the art proprietary. So we have proprietary algorithms which we've developed, we have patents which we have filed as a company. So all developing all of this was through the passion, and applying the knowledge gained across education, and also through experience which we picked up along the way.
Got it. What do you exactly do at Engine KL, and who are your customers and all of that?
So we have customers from OEMs to aftermarket industries also. So industries where it's generally related to automotive, where we work with two-wheeler manufacturers, we work with four-wheeler manufacturers, we work with fleet companies which generally have aftermarket. So with the telematics devices, we read data from that, and we do analysis on these data. So with certain data points, we've developed algorithms to gauge the health of the vehicle. So what we that is our proprietary algorithms. What we've developed is generally to gauge the health of the vehicle. So we do something called prognostics. So this is in telling in advance what a vehicle or how the vehicle will perform in the future. Like for example, a particular part is going to fail. So in advance itself, we tell that okay, this particular part is degrading, so you need to look into this, either replace it, or we also suggest like okay, you can do this to get your health of the vehicle back to 100%. So that's what we work towards, telling the customer in advance about what the vehicle is performing as. Like for example, like coming as a health test, what we generally do a stress test to check whether we have any heart problems or not. So similarly, we also with the data from the vehicle itself, and we don't work with there's something called CAN data, which is proprietary to the OEMs, where the data is according to their formats. So we work with general OBD data, which is available as a standard, and with them itself we've developed algorithms such that we can model other parameters and model the health of the vehicle.
Got it. Got it. So now coming to you, Shantanu, I wanted to understand. So finance is, very mystic, not Sadhguru, okay. It's very mystified kind of space, what they do, how they do, and all of that. So, at State Street, what do you do? What is your kind of profile and how that impacts, a lot of capital in the market in terms of big companies? How do they leverage big capital and all of that?
Yeah, before speaking about myself, I want to tell something about Sarvesh. He's like most humblest guy you would see. He was a nine pointer actually, straight like in
Oh,
college,
okay.
and he used to help us complete all the assignments also. But
You're the
like
nerd
all
guy
the
or the geek guy.
senior, all this
Not
very
really,
serious
but
guy. Yeah, he used to do that. He wouldn't tell that now, but yeah. So for him, right, like tips for the students, right? uh, so he had a lot of opportunities to do something else, right? Because he had got an MS from UK, so he had got opportunities to go into different roles within the companies when he came back to India. But he chose to be like what he wanted exactly from engine. So since he's mechanical engineer, right, he chose like I want to be into engine side itself. And when you chose like your passion, right, what even if you are not very competitive, the jobs are low, but still he stick to his passion. And that's where now he's like where he's now as a co-founder of a company, right? So like maybe if you are interested in something, you should stick to that level first. And like there will be lucrative jobs everywhere. Like you will get some analytics jobs, data analytics jobs anywhere, but if you stick to one, what your passion, what you want, you can go to like good level from there.
thank
Yeah. So speaking about myself, of course, so I'm working currently as a proposal management, right, in asset, very big asset. So I've worked in JP Morgan, Moody's Analytics, and also right now in State Street, like all those big asset management firms. So right now, most of the asset management firms are uh, so they are not a financial companies now any now, like they are more tech companies. uh, Most of their investments are going into technologies. I would say most of the efforts of the companies are going into automating things, because if you see the conventional way, right, most of the financial firms are built up uh, leveraging other firms, small firms. For example, JP Morgan, if you say, right, it's not the one firm straight throughout the years. It had acquired many firms, legacy firms. So what happens, right? Lot of firms have different systems in place. Lot like they had Chase, right? Chase was a different firm before. JP Morgan was a different firm before. So what happens, right, when too many legacy systems are together, right? It becomes very difficult for the company to run with different systems. So most of the focus of the firms are like migrating many data or most of their tools to one tool itself. So now, right now, if you see the what are trending things within the firms are getting things in one place, getting all the systems into one system. Microsoft is helping them much, like they are developing many tools, right, within their purview. Like, for example, for analytics, people were using Tableau before, right? But now Microsoft has come up with Power BI. If you have Outlook, Teams, Excel, PowerPoint with you, right? It's very easy to integrate everything with Power BI than Tableau, because Tableau being a third party tool. So all the organization, if you see, right, financial organizations are more focused now, getting things in one place into one system now.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Got it. So, Karthik, I wanted to come back to you. When you see, students growing up, what is one pattern that you've always observed that, students who go longer do? Is it, the fancy jobs or people who stick to, probably less known jobs in the early on in the career and then, grow up to be somebody? How does that work, Karthik?
So, so one thing, honestly, I'm a little bit short on data on this point because we kind of are more in touch with students who immediately graduate. That's our immediate concern or the group that we address. Though of course we do have a lot of students coming back to us, and because of our alumni network, we get to know things. See, one thing I can say upright, that in college, what we may see as some student, who is standing out in the crowd or something, in academics, or to necessarily feel that that person is going to go a long way ahead in life and do great, there is no correlation. That is pretty much agreed. I mean, we have seen so many students who are, kind of academically also not doing all that great maybe in college, and but they had some other skills, which especially start coming out when they go into the industry. And later we understand, hey, this guy has gone a way ahead than so many others whom we may have thought, would have been there. So coming specifically to the point of fancy jobs, no, I wouldn't agree with that. I have seen students joining startups or small companies, etc., and then making the right switch at the right time, maybe. And I think that what happens in college is only going to help you for the first job, and then onwards it's about what you do. So those who feel that I have a fancy job and hence I can be cozy and comfortable, they can actually land in a lot of trouble. So that's my general take.
So you also think that a higher salary becomes an exit barrier for somebody?
Oh yeah, certainly it becomes, because when you have a salary that is not actually in line with your skill sets and what you can actually contribute, you suddenly start becoming a liability, right? And so that is a fact. I mean, in recent times when we spoke to some of our alumni, we noticed that especially those who quickly rise through the fancy jobs, they rise to very high salaries, especially once you go above 50 lakhs, etc. Then suddenly you have to showcase, right, the importance of what you're contributing, why you deserve that money. Otherwise nobody is going to keep you, and then even to climb down becomes very difficult for the individual.
Okay.
I mean, just to share an amusing case with you, I had a case where one student had a 20 lakh job from campus. He lost that job. So then I had another job for him that was 8 9 lakhs. It was a very good job, IT. But I had to do a lot of counseling to get him on board, because what had happened, I realized later, he comes from a rural background, and when he got the 20 lakh job, his entire village had put up a banner, congratulations so and so. In Marathi they do, right?
He would they
Hardik
would
abhinandan.
write the package
Ha,
also
20
the banner.
लाखाचा job भेटला in
Exactly.
Marathi, that this guy has got a job of 20 lakhs and so on. And then when he lost that, it was so difficult for him to climb down to something with 8 or 9, which was actually a very good job. So after a lot of counseling and pushing, we cajoled him, and he finally agreed to that. But I'm just saying this, that yeah, your salary should be in line with what you're contributing. Otherwise, you're in trouble. That's for sure.
Got it.
Mm.
Got it. That's a very nice insight, because I've observed that a lot of people who, once they get, say, 30 lakhs, 35 lakhs out of college, right? Then what happens is they don't get 35 lakhs for the next 5 years.
Yeah,
So next 5 years they are stuck in the same company. Then what happens is their trajectory becomes very, very flat.
flat. Yeah,
So somebody starts at, say, 6, 8, 10 somewhere, right? They quickly grow, and then suddenly what happens is this guy with started with a lower salary comes as his boss with a higher salary into the same company,
Yeah.
and then it kind of, that is where I've seen it, and that's
yeah,
why I wanted to
Yeah, yeah.
quickly touch
Yeah.
I
upon
mean,
it.
just touching one more social issue. Once a guy has 35, he takes such a home loan, car loan in line with that. And then later to climb down is almost impossible, because,
Yeah.
Your lifestyle
yeah,
expenses.
your lifestyle expense, what you actually imagine. You may have got married telling your wife that you are having so much money or whatever.
So
So
on,
all those social issues also come up
yeah.
besides,
yeah.
Gen
right?
Z's marry earlier also,
Yeah.
unlike us.
All
True.
the companies who are giving higher packages, right? Those are very big companies,
Yes.
and mostly those people are aligned to just one process. If you see the big companies, right, you won't get the overall picture. You will only get the process view, micro view of what you are doing. So what happens, right? If the person wants to get out of that thing, right, it gets very difficult for him also. Right now, like if you are starting with low, might be in a startup or something, you will get overall picture and you will get more skills than the person who has the micro view of the processes. So that also becomes a concern.
Yeah, so concluding my point, without a doubt, in the age group 21 to I would say till 35, what you are contributing is very important, more than your salary. That will take you to much greater heights later. As in what you have actually learned in that process, and what experience you have gained. That is any day more important than just the salary criteria.
So understood. So quickly, kind of coming back, right? We don't want to sound like Narayana Murthy. So we want to, ensure that we, because the moment we say it's about your learning, not about the salary, Gen Z is kind of hit back at you saying that you want us to work for 3 lakhs or something. So that is not the objective.
No, no.
What would, as in, what would be a decent salary? Like say an 8 lakhs starting should be a decent enough salary for anybody to take up. If the role is good, they should not flinch. Well, what is
I
your
would
number?
say, see, it depends on the city. So I have made that study as well. For example, because we are in Pune and we have a lot of students working in Bangalore as well, Bengaluru. So we have seen this, that city also makes a difference. If it's Pune, it could be even 7.5 lakhs, and especially if they are from Pune only, then that's very good to start off. But if it is Bengaluru, then it has to be at least 9.5, because of that increased expenses which are there in this type of a city. So they need that little extra. But yes, on an average, 8 lakhs I would say is a very good salary for freshers these days.
So
If
can
they, that's actually our median, by the way, at this point.
okay.
Our minimum last year was 4, maximum was 40, but the median was 8, 8.2 or something. So I think that's a very good salary to get.
So anything above 8 lakhs, then you should not be
Yes,
thinking about it.
they should not be
So
thinking.
8 lakhs is the new 3 lakhs then.
Oh yeah, 3 years. No, 3 years. 3 is really very difficult. I would say this 3.6 and all that. Students don't take. In fact, we have a flat rule these days that if you have a job with a salary less than 4.5 lakhs, especially these IT ones in these IT service industries, then we give them a dream job. We give them a job with 8 lakhs and above. We're very clear with it. Because 3 lakhs, I mean, even 20 years back, these companies were offering 2.5 to 3, and today they're offering 3 to 3.5. So, so that becomes really very difficult.
When we started 2012, I got 3.5.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
And
same.
it's the same.
the
Yeah,
prices have rocketed, the
yes,
salaries
that's
have
true.
become stagnant.
That's true. So initially, yes, three was okay at that time, probably when we passed out, but it was still on a lower end. But that is what the industry average was at that time. But now, yes, with the expenses growing, I think what you said around 8 should be a good amount where the person doesn't need to think about anything else. If he's getting 8 lakhs and the job what they're looking for is good, they like it, the profile of the job which they'll be working, if they like it, I think it's a no brainer currently to go ahead,
Also,
go
I
for it.
have made a study on this. Why they are still offering these IT service majors? Why they are offering 3.5? It's because of the large volume of engineers that are being churned out of Indian engineering colleges. So there is such a huge. I mean, you have right. I think 15 lakhs or whatever
Yeah.
was the last count that I read. So many engineers graduating out each year, and not so many jobs really, which can give you 8 lakhs and above.
Mm.
So then their point is, why should we pay more if we are having people ready to take this up? So there are people, even today, there are people who will take this 3.54 because there's nothing else they get. And yeah, so that's
Yeah.
the reality also, which
Um,
we need to accept.
Probably, I'm not saying that.
And sorry, I'll just complete that. And even if some students of ours also get 3.54 and they're unable to crack the dream job that we offer, so what we tell them is, okay, now that you have got this, don't be morose, take this up and see in 1 2 years how you can come. And we have seen even in these IT service companies, when they join with 3.54, even today, in 3 years they reach 8 to 9 lakhs. They will take 3 years, but they will reach it. So that's fine. What else can you do? That's the best thing you could do if due to lack of choices.
I have a point, as in 3.5 is fine, uh, if you're not willing to give higher, but then you should probably go to a tier 2 or a tier 3 city
Yes,
where it is commensurate with the cost of living.
that's
Yes.
correct.
Yeah.
So because when I hire in the US all the time, so it is always the salary is based on the city. We have
Mm.
something called a COLA adjustment, cost of living adjustment. So that we do every time. So if somebody is moving from, say, Austin to Bay Area, so Austin there is no state taxes, and then somebody is moving to San Francisco, there is s- state taxes, which makes it give or take about 40-45% if you are in the 200K and above range. So then what happens is, you have to raise the salary by, like, say, a 200K guy should get somewhere around 340 for him to even at least feel the same way.
Exactly.
So that is something, probably, services companies should explore, is what I think.
Yes.
But then, what was happening immediately after the pandemic? Most of these services companies, they were okay with work from home. At that time, this 3.5 also looked okay, because you could work from home, you could just work from your hometown. But now increasingly this work from office has come up again, as in, because what I
Yeah.
read last was even TCS wants everyone to come back to office. So they are pushing people to come back to office, and rightly so. But but then the salary is an issue, because then you have to stay in Bengaluru, for example, and go to Accenture daily or Infosys or something, and then the travel cost, the accommodation here,
Mm.
then 3.5 lakhs is certainly very challenging. It's like you have to still take money from your dad to continue living here. It's impossible to survive.
Yeah. But we're
Yeah.
speaking about packages, right? People should also. So I'm not talking about very service companies like Infosys and Cognizant. They have mostly all the benefits, same benefits, right, for many things. But if you consider non-service based companies, there are also different benefits they offer. For example, if you say State Street, right, they will have transport benefits. You have many other educational benefits that you can get if you are hired. So that expenses also you can check. If you are getting a low salary also in terms of a very good company, you can also consider that, because the benefits within that company you will get more than the higher value what you are getting in the different companies. Like, for example, some of the startups also, they are getting wellness benefits, right? One of the startups that we are getting, I think,
Yeah.
Stripe, right?
Stripe
Yeah,
has
Stripe,
lot.
it's in Bangalore. They are getting wellness reimbursements. Like, you can go to Cult or any gym, you can reimburse that thing. If you are taking courses, online courses, you can reimburse that. So that benefit, that money that you are spending from your own pocket, you can get from the company itself. So you can
But these
consider that.
days, many companies, what they do is the cost to company, CTC, when they state, right,
Yeah.
they add all these things in it
Yeah.
Yeah.
already. So that's why, many times, even when a company says 8 lakh CTC, students are interested to know what is the cash in hand per month. And that may be 45, 50,000, because because certainly, of course, nowadays till 12 lakhs there is no income tax, so that part is there at least. But 8 lakhs can actually mean there's 50,000 in hand, which is also okay, I would say. Still say it's okay.
Yeah.
In any city in India, a bachelor can easily, kind of survive
Yeah,
comfortably with
true.
that much money.
So
Valid point.
agreed, agreed. Kind of switching from there, I wanted to, kind of delve into engineering. Sarvesh, I
Yeah.
wanted to, kind of start. So, okay, now that we've covered the thing of, how much should they be paid, what they want to be paid. So now let's say, in a high performing engineering team, what are the key traits of a high performing engineering team? You had one yourself.
Yeah.
So I wanted to understand that, Sarvesh.
So in this, I would say that for a high performance engineering team, the people the team who's working on what they're working on should match. Like, for example, my interest is in automotive. If I was put into a IT job, probably I would not have done that well. uh, Looking back, looking right now, I have learned a lot of IT skills as well. But initially, if I would have been put there, I wouldn't have performed to what I would have what I did perform here. So, matching the skills or understanding the skills of a person, and then matching him to the particular task or activity which needs to be done. I think that is a very important thing, which that particular trait, like as a manager also, we need to look at that and get that match right. If that is right, I think the engineering team can perform, like the performance of the engineer, like of the whole team, can improve based on that.
What- You wanted to say something? Go on.
I Can you just
You
can you just
wanted to see
ask
the
it again?
question?
Yeah, can you just ask it again once?
Key trait you see in a high output engineering team. Key traits as in what, when you see an engineering team, we'll cut this out, don't worry, cut this out. When you see a high performance engineering team, how will you identify this is a high performance team?
So in this, I would say that the synergy also which you can see from outside, the synergy with which the team works, the different players or the different team members, how they work with each other, the communication between them, also are very important factors here to say that a team is a high performance team. And the output itself has to speak that okay, this output also speaks about how good the team is.
Okay, got it. So I also wanted to understand, Sarvesh,
Yeah.
tell me, right? So with, for example, with the Gen AI tools in market right now, so you don't need a programmer or a developer anymore. There is somebody, who, something that will do it for you. You can get quickly prototypes done, and then you can quickly test if it's working in the market and all of that. So this regular, lead, and then five developers below the lead, and then they work on different concepts, and then it comes back and all, it's kind of phased out. So in today's day and age, there is a saying that next unicorn is going to be five people sitting in a basement or in a co-working space in Indian context. So how do you see that? So do you see, what are the things that the old high performance team would have had that the new high performance team will not have?
So in this, what according to me, what I feel is yes, coding and all has become much easier now with all the AI tools available. So you just put in whatever you need or whatever code is, it will give it to you in that particular language as well. But the application of that code to the end product is what I think the it currently is not happening properly. Like for example, I need the product to do a particular specific job, but I can't get the code exactly to match that. I can get a code language which will give me something very close to it, but the final finishing touch which is required has to be a human currently at least. Is what is my opinion currently through the AI tools. What I have seen that the final touch which gets the product to its final stage is a human is required there, because we've gone through these processes as well where like we're coding something. If you ask AI, it'll give you the code, you pick up the same and put it in your product, it will not work straight out. You have to, there's a lot of process of debugging which goes in. So for this also, the understanding of the core subject is also very important. So we can get codes for different things, but the end application or the how it fits into the final product is also very important. And I don't think currently AI is at least the tools which I have used, it's not the match is not there. So we need a person there who applies his knowledge of the subject matter where to get that final product with to copy from AI or whatever AI is given him and put it in the product for it to work as intended.
Got it. So when you say that, you mean to say it's more AI is more like an Iron Man suit for Tony Stark, not the Iron Man itself. It's not a fully functioning robo kind of
Yes,
autonomous and all of that, right?
yes.
So that is the point. So I kind of understand what you're telling. So now tell me. So what you say is in a high performing team. Earlier you would have had lot of characters. Right now you'll see one guy with a lot of business sense sitting there and then using all these tools and doing it. So you think earlier if we had needed, like, say for example, if we had needed for example, let's say 15 to 20 people in an engineering team. Right now with all these things, how do you see how many people would be required?
I think the quantity is definitely reduced now because with the tools available. So the number of people required to complete a particular job or a particular task is reduced or can be reduced using these AI tools. But applying applying the knowledge to get the final product or because the every product would be different. Even if, say for example, we have products, we have one product which will work on a car, but when I'm working at the aftermarket, I would approach it differently. When I'm working with an OEM, I would approach it differently. So the this application, or how the application needs to be done, has to be from a particular specialist in that domain. So even if a task needs to be done, there have to be domain specific people who are looking into these things and applying their skills to get the final product.
Got it.
So it's not just one thing. I can't have just one person looking at everything. So it's not just the manager who looks after everything, or as a one person I can do everything. That's not possible. So you have to have domain experts in the various fields which would come together to make that product.
Got it. Thanks. Switching on to you, right, Shant? So let's say you work in a very big corporate, with a lot of teams functioning in silos, and then we're coming together to make the big picture and all of that. With that said, right, how do you measure performance beyond delivery timelines and all of that? Because those are all, number of hours you clock in used to be performance. Now that is not that anymore. It's a value you add. So how do you evaluate that, Shantanu?
Um, so as a base, as a minimum criteria, timelines are very important, deliveries are very important, because that constitutes the base of the delivery, like when you are delivering something to the client. But as a person, if you want to evaluate, right, we have a every big organization will have a thing called 360-degree feedback, right? We get feedbacks from overall people who are working with the person. Then you will get the overall picture how the person is doing. The person should be approachable, first of all. The people, he should be a go-to person. If there is a expert, like if he's an expert in something, he should be a go-to person. That is a that's a premium, like the primary quality that we see within a person. um, in terms of approach, right? So if we work in, like I work in a proposal management team, right? So we create different proposals for the client. So if we liaise with different SMEs, of course we get the data, we create a proposal according to the client needs. So that process, right, going through the process is also very important. So timelines and deliveries can be met just creating a proposal, getting thing in place and delivering to the client. But what if there is something wrong, right? If there is uh, for example, just a minute, I'm just
No,
thinking of,
no.
yeah. So the process, the person can also do the process in unethical way. For example, he collates everything, he sends everything, but he doesn't adhere to the guidelines of the proposals, right? So that kind of thing matters many times. While evaluating projects, right, we also have to see what innovations they have done. Most of the big corporations have same things happening, right? Many times they have a process lined up with them. Each one has to go to the same framework, right, and get the things done. But for the high performance team, right, for if you want to do some if you have to do some innovation, good product, you have to do something out of the box. So that's the thing that we are looking for within a project or within a individual to evaluate.
Got it. Got it. Don't worry. We'll, wherever there were glitches, we'll cut it all out. It'll all look seamless at the end.
Sure.
Yeah.
So fine. So Karthik, I wanted to come back to you, right? So with the number of people required to establish a task is getting lesser and lesser. We don't need more people to do stuff. We just need smart people to do stuff. We're willing to pay more, but are you good enough? So the one thing that Gen Z says, we will not take these kind of jobs that offer peanuts. Companies are like, okay boss, we are willing to pay, but the expectation that the companies have, right, has tremendously increased. Recently we had one fintech company, so they wanted the students, final year students, to do a quick project. They gave the library everything, they gave a photograph, and then they gave a script. They wanted you to make the photograph animated so that it looks like the photograph is talking to you. And you could use any library. They had given a set of libraries as well, and it was just, kind of orchestrating it. Not, I think the currency today is only ability to discover, and the cost of not knowing a tool or something. That is what I feel. So with this said, how do you think it will impact? We have 30 lakh people, graduating every year in terms of engineering and MBA together. So we don't need that many people.
Okay, I think the jury is still out on this because um, it is not exactly clear how AI will certainly affect. I'll just tell you 2 points in this. First is, uh, even to get AI done, you need engineers only at the end of the day. As in, to make the AI, and that is always something which will involve more work. As in, it's not that today some AI tool is there, then that's it. This is the final tool for the rest of mankind. No, there will be newer versions coming. So you will need people working on AI, which is again core programming. That's one thing. And then you will need others who will be able to effectively use it. And as he pointed out rightly, that last mile connectivity, which is what Sarvesh was saying, right? The last mile connectivity, which is not there. That will give you something, but you need something, right? He has this, right? He gave a, I think that was a very good example that he gave. So it's not yet very clear whether it's going to reduce or what. So see, currently, I think a lot of reduction this year or in the last 1 or 2 years we are facing is because post pandemic or in the immediate aftermath of the pandemic, for a couple of years, companies were recruiting left, right, center. They were recruiting as if the world is going to end tomorrow and you won't get any more engineers. So because they recruited so much, that spillover effect from 21, 20, from the year 22, that spilled over for another 1.5, 2 years till 24. We are yet to come out of that. And also what happened was, even during the pandemic and that 3 years from 2019 to 2022, even lateral hires, anybody was jumping from anywhere to anywhere at any salary. I remember even my HR guys whom I was in touch with, every second month they would have changed their company. And I was like, hey, you're here, and the other guy is there. And then they would go back also to the same company. So this was all going on. So I think these were some reasons why today the hiring has become a little tight, because of that experience till 2022, companies have become little guarded about how they hire, what salary they pay, and so on. So, yes, certainly AI is going to make things easier without a question, and it's going to remove various low end jobs, I would say. Things where you did not have to apply your brain and you just kind of did something very mechanical and, kind of, right? So, simple thing like 30 years back, we had steno, right? Taking down things and so on. So all those jobs are already gone. There's no one having a steno these days. So, certain low end jobs or certain type of jobs are surely going to go out, but that doesn't mean that certainly the total number of jobs itself are going to go down. I still don't feel that, because there will be more and more innovations that you will have to make. I think what will happen is engineers, students would be expected to come up the value chain. You will have to contribute more in order to get in something. That's what I see. And I'm very sure about it that even today, if you're good, you have a job. I see that companies, see, what has happened is their expectations have increased, rightly so. If there are 30 lakh engineers and MBAs in the market, why will they just take anybody just because you have a degree? They were doing that, but that was not correct. So that has got corrected now. So they are now insisting that you need to have some skills. You need to have technical skills, you need to have soft skills, you need to be able to demonstrate that you can do something. I believe then you have a job today. It's only a really lousy guy who cannot do anything and who just is relying on a paper, he will not have a job. I firmly believe
I
that.
think to add to Karthik sir's point, I think organize of course is asking person to get above the value chain, right? The thing is, right now, if someone is focused only on getting things done, like very micro level things, for example, writing a code, doing things, right now, companies more looking forward for the top, how to increase their top line. So I think in coming years, many of the people who are also in the low level, they will need to know the business of the company,
Mm.
how they want to grow, right? Accordingly, they will have to perform. In terms of AI, right? I have an example recently. Like yesterday itself, I have ordered something from Swiggy, right? And the order didn't reach, right? uh, I was so frustrated. And when we usually type, right, and we actually want to express our frustration to the customer care, there's always a bot right now. They have just put the bot. So eventually, what will happen? We'll come to know that this is a AI, right? Because when we everything gets matured, right, you come to know that this is written by AI, this is done by AI. So at some point of time, if tracking, if there's a delivery tracking, we will expect AI to do the delivery tracking. But you won't expect, if we are frustrated, we want to talk to someone, AI will replies back, because then we'll be more frustrated. So I think that AI will take the jobs for automating very small things, but for the human touch, as Sarvesh said, right,
Yes.
we'll need someone human, because you can't frustrate over AI on the computer. How long can you do that?
True that. We've been building a few AI agents. So if you look at Grok, for example, right, ChatGPT has very canned responses.
Mhm.
You'll talk to it, it'll give you a left liberal answer for all the questions you ask. But then when you talk to Grok, Grok is like cutting straight through the bullshit, and then gets directly to the
Mm.
point. And then there is also humanizing version. So what we do is, when we use AI agents, what we do is we get the creative task done by ChatGPT or Claude or something. And then once that is done, right, then to humanize it, we use API calls to Grok, so that that becomes more like a human being talking. And then what happens is, through this we can build AI agents for counselors. So
Mhm.
if you're depressed, you don't have to necessarily talk to a counselor, and AI can talk to you in a much more humanized version. And I think we're getting there. We're getting
Don't
there.
know how sustainable will be that, but like
Yeah.
people can get misjudged, right, with the AI, if it's a human or not. I don't
You
think
should
that's.
ask Karthik, saying that we met on Tinder and we got married. That when the generation said, Karthik, that's what, for like, how do you guys do it? And that's probably, I think, we're
Yeah,
getting a little older.
right.
So Sarvesh, I wanted to come to you.
Yeah.
In terms of engineering teams, right? How important do you think culture is within an engineering team? And can you give an example where a culture is what set the engineering team apart?
So I think culture is very important in any organization itself. The what the organization culture brings, the what the organization brings as a culture has to percolate to all the teams. So w- mainly, I would say that as a culture, I would say innovation should currently be the topmost priority for all companies. Let it be a small company or a top, uh, like a big company as well. So we're looking towards innovation, also the culture uh, for every individual team, say engineering team or any team, should be about innovation, getting new things in the market, in the organization itself, about improving efficiencies of how the work is being done, uh, thinking outside the box. All these things have to are important in developing the team itself and the organization. So for this also, like for example, even we at our company, we have an open office culture where different teams sit together. So there are different teams working on different things. uh, like the cloud team, there is a backend team, there's an app team, there's a embedded systems team, there's an engineering team. So all of them sitting together and discussing or passing ideas at each other about how to develop the product and make it better. This kind of culture is, I think, which is currently going to improve the quality of the final product and get the fast growth for the organization.
Got you. Got it. So I wanted to come back to you, Shantanu. I'm going to ask you Anand's question. If you're, you,
Yeah, it's fine. Like you can, I will try it. I didn't read that question, but you can definitely.
how do you build a culture of ownership within a team, Shantanu? How do you build a culture of ownership, so that people think that it is my job and they'll take it up and do, rather than deflect?
Um, so that ownership culture should come from the high, like as Sarvesh mentioned, right? It should come from the top. Um, as a manager, right, or as a head of the team, uh, you should percolate that kind of culture within the team, that if something happens, uh, the person who is doing the task is responsible. It's not like the manager is responsible for everything. Of course he's a head, so he'll be of course responsible to the management, but for your own self, if you're doing something, uh, you should be able to take ownership of what you are doing. Because then if you try to take ownership, right, you will find different ways to do the things. If you don't take ownership, right, if you are only be in Marathi you called sang kamya, right, I think kama means, if you tell the person who does the work only when you tell that person to do. So if you have that, and that culture is going on in our service industry also, like if you tell some things, they will do things, they will deliver it back. But then in terms of business, right, client will have different kind of requirements, right? There are many requirements that they will change requirements in between. And if you be that kind of person, right, you will have to do each and everything every time the client says. If you know from within, right, I'm doing it is not right, uh, there should be some enhancement to this same code, right? If it's a tech person, then he can tell to the client itself, all the business analyst himself, that this is wrong, some like this is something wrong in this code. The client has that requirement, but in future client might come back with this kind of enhancement. So if he does that within the code himself, then there is much less work that he has to do, right, if you go work wise. So that kind of ownership and sense, that should come within, and only if it comes only if the person is passionate about his work. So it then comes what your interest, right, in the work. So if you are very interested, you are passionate about the task that you are doing, then only that sense of ownership will come, or else you will do whatever the other person is telling you.
Shantanu, following up on that,
Hmm.
right? So people usually take up whatever job comes their way or whichever is the highest salary
Correct.
to start off with. If somebody, not as fortunate as Sarvesh, ends up doing what he is, liking to do, start of the career. How will they discover passion? Like for say an aeronautical engineer who gets into emphasis and gets into, let's say, data engineering, data warehousing, and all of that. So how does that guy, find his passion, and how will he keep himself motivated? When he thought he's going to design planes, and then now he's sitting writing codes and all of that.
um, so if you see right now, there are many avenues for him to reach out to. The social media is a very big avenue that he can, uh, then he can use to know things, right? For example, he can, YouTube's, there are many videos to give if the person is still working in Infosys. So in our times, right, many of the people were doing UPSC while they were in Infosys or Cognizant. They were on bench many times, so they studied UPSC because it was their passion, right? And someone people many cracked UPSC and went to, went to become many like IS officers. So if someone is actually passionate and has have to do things, he will find many avenues to do these things. So if there's someone who is stuck in the loop, right, in the corporate, that I want to get out, so there are many forums in social media, and there are LinkedIn, you can go out to, you can reach out to alumni of. So there are many alumni, engineering alumni, who are not just into the same domain, right, they have gone to different domains. So you can reach out to the people, the seniors, you can get some insights what they can do. There are many online like there are lakhs of online courses that they can do now. So you just have to keep your eyes open, to get things.
Got it. So I want to come back to you, Karthik. I want to ask you a question. So, there is the scale, speed, and innovation, and all of this is happening. So, let's say, for example, as a company, you have to deliver the product in the quickest possible time, the best reliable product that you have to do, and you have to keep innovating. All of this is which is not time bound. As in, when I say not time bound, it has to be done ASAP. Okay, and if it has to be done ASAP, it causes burnout. So how do you manage all these three criteria while still not getting burnt out?
You're asking from perspective of colleges, or
No, you can tell it from a perspective of an employee. How does he ensure that all these things are done without getting burnt out?
okay. So it is kind of unavoidable in the competitive world to expect kind of a lot of results in a very short time. And as you said, right, in a very short time is given to you, but you have to scale up, you have to innovate, and you have to do everything. So I think from a college perspective, what we are doing, we are ensuring students are ready for it. And one way we have seen is hackathons. So I mean, you cannot believe this if I tell you, Gautam, but in the last couple of years, hackathons have become extremely popular in campuses. We have every week at least 4 or 5 hackathons in which students are participating, which are sponsored by different companies. Some are in house in our campus. Constantly, it's going on. So we have now a couple of professors dedicated to handling hackathons, because that is an environment where all these things come up. You have to innovate. You have a time. Most of it is either 24 hours or 48 hours, 2 days, right? And students are sitting there continuously, no sleep, nothing. 2 days they're working on a given problem. They have to innovate, come up with a solution which will go beyond whatever they studied, etc. So I think this is a T20 era, right?
Mm.
So that's what T20 is all about. You have to, in a short time, you have to prove something. Correct. I mean, if you go back to one day cricket, right? In our my childhood, a team would score 250 was considered a good score in 50 overs. Nowadays, every T20 league is bashing 250 plus in 20 overs. So I think this has happened everywhere. This has happened everywhere where in a shorter time you need to produce more. It may be more runs or more lines of code or more productivity, more innovation. You have to. I think as far as the burnout thing is concerned, again, see, if you see the Gen Z and also the style of work today is that there is a short sprint and then they relax. They just kind of uh, chill out for a couple of days and then they again start. So that seems to be the style of work these days everywhere, including campuses. So I will see students in a hackathon and then they have then 2 3 days they will need to come out of it. So eventually in a long term a human can produce only X amount of work or whatever. But given the sprint nature of work, people are forced to produce more in a short time. So later they cover it up. It's like, you cover up sleep in the weekend. So something like that is what I see happening.
Nice one. So, Sarvesh, do you see, earlier sprints used to be 1 to 2 weeks.
Yeah,
Now have the sprints become shorter? And do you think, that, shorter sprints and then longer breaks keep the team motivated, or what think the team gets motivated by?
I think the sprint officially is still the same, but the amount of tasks which get are to be completed and that have increased.
Okay.
So officially, if you go, sprint generally works for 1 to 2 weeks, and but the amount of work which needs to be done in that has increased. So you'll be doing a lot of more activities or completing more activities, having more stand ups with the team, and seeing that everything is to order. And I think the project durations, everything has come down now. So you have to get it done quickly, because if you're not doing it quickly, there is someone else who is there to do it quicker than you, and probably not better than you, but quicker than you. But it depends upon what is required at that time.
Okay. Okay.
So it's a trade-off which we need to work towards.
So I envision a world where somebody gets up in a Bali and then sees a Upwork or something like that, and then picks up 5 tasks and then does it for 2 3 days straight, and then 1 week he's on a vacation, and then he'll come back when he wants to. He'll do work when he wants to. No more, it's no more like a 40 hours job,
Mhm.
or something like that is what I see. Do you see that happening in your engineering team, or you still make them all clock 40 hours a week? How do you see that happen?
For us, it's a little hands-on, a little more hands-on, because we work with vehicles itself. So we have to be there to test the vehicles. So for us also, each and every team needs to understand what the final product is, or how things are moving, how the data is moving from one platform to the other, like from the embedded system to the mobile app to the cloud to the backend. So all this, each and every team member needs to know and understand as well. And so, because we deal with vehicles, we need to do a lot of testing on them as well. So there is a desk job which needs to be done, but after that there has to be a testing cycle as well, which the individual working needs to know. So for that, going, as you said, sitting in Bali and then testing, that would be a little difficult. But yes, the initial some part of it can be done like that, but then eventually it comes down to the final testing or delivering the product. During that time, it has to be on the vehicle, which probably has to be at the office.
Yeah. One follow-up question with what Gautam said.
Yeah.
He raised the point about 40 hours.
Hmm.
So I wanted to, talk to both of you, Sarvesh and Shantanu, on this. You could address, because in students nowadays, the Gen Z especially, they have not. Many of them take it for granted that the number of hours should be very less, etc.
Mm.
This is an attitude issue which they have. I think it also stems from the fact that, sorry to sound that way, but many of them come from a pampered background where kind of they are not used to stretching themselves beyond certain time limits. So what do you feel for freshers? How many hours you think they need to put in? I know hours is not a metric directly. Ultimately, it's output. But at some point of time, hours also matter, right? Because the more the number of hours, see, as that famous historian said, it's from quantity that quality comes up.
Mm.
It's quantity from which you ultimately get quality. So if I'm going to put 20 hours a week and say that I will have a lot of quality, no, because my quantity itself is so less that benchmark. So how much quality can come out of it? So how much do you all think freshers should actually be putting in? So
Yeah.
both of you can say that.
I think Gen Zs, if you see, right, I think maybe if there are so they are influenced by many influencers on social media, because it's of course available to them, right? Every time they are Instagram, they are on YouTube. So all the influencers I can see, right, their focus is more on ridiculing the traditional way of thinking, right?
Yes.
If you see, right, for example, if you see Infosys, they are calling now, they everyone is calling to the office, right? Every company.
Yes.
So they're also ridiculing them. If they are calling us to work for 9 hours straight, they're also ridiculing them. So the thing is, they're more influenced from the influencers. So the work life balance, that word has got into their mind too much. Like, work life balance should be there, but what is that? Work also is a part of that work life balance, right? You
Mm.
shouldn't have just life and just enjoy things. Of course, in US, if you see, like, people see the life of like people in the US, right? They get lot of time to build themselves, lot of time post work to do things, right? But then they also work straight 9 hours to do things, right? If you see things, right, people, many of the people, they don't work straight 9 hours productively. They
Mm.
do some things here and there, and then they, after that, they expect just to work 9 hours. That's not fair, right? If you are working, right, in a working, you will take breaks, right, in between. But then if you are taking break, you have to compensate after the working hours, right? Because you are
Correct.
taking break within the working hours. If you are taking 1 hour break, so for example, if someone is working from home, right, they have to do something for their household chores, right? They are going somewhere to fetch things. So now, if you are completing 9 hours, right, you are doing the homework, like household work also. You will have to extend some part, right, within that to complete the task. Completing the task is more important. That's they need to understand. Of course, some of the jobs need collaboration. For example, my job, right? They need collaboration with different teams. So you have to be present. For example, Scrum Master, you might know, right?
Yeah.
Scrum Master have to be there within the call. So his job is to be in the call every time. So if the call is there at 9 p.m. also, 10 p.m. also, he has to be in the call. But if he's not in the call, he has other works to do. He can do that thing. But then you have to make that time management, and that will come when you work through it. The fresher, of course, they don't have experience, but that time management thing, that is a very important thing I learned in my corporate experience, because you don't know anything about it. You think that things will get done, like in companies, people, like for example, if there is a project going on, people will think someone is there to take care of the project, but no, you have to be there, right? So you have to take these things into consideration.
But time still, you didn't answer my thing. How much time you think they should put?
So time wise, I told you, right, 9 hours.
So 45 hours a week, you're saying, or you're saying
45
50
hours a
hours?
week is
50
actually
hours.
ideal time to complete any task.
Okay.
It can, like, there is a tolerance of 10 hours maybe here and there, but
What about you, Sarvesh?
Uh, for this, I would say that yes, currently, with a lot of social media effect, people or new students, they have come under or what they think about what the timing should be has changed a lot from what when we came out
Yeah.
of the industry. For us, it was get into the grind and grind, and then only you will grow. But for now, it is the perspective has changed, or what the expectation has changed. But for this, I would say that it depends from job to job or from a particular project to project as well. Like putting 45 hours might be required for a particular project, or putting 20 hours and still completing that project would like it changes from project to project or from team to team, it might change. But what I feel is that putting a fixed time for a particular, say I need to work 45 hours every
Week.
week for the whole year, I would say maybe that's not the right approach. uh, you can have the times like going to Bali, working from there for some hours, but you need to make that productive. Whatever you're working on should be productive.
Okay.
And putting 45 hours or 40 hours, I would say that it's not something compulsory, but currently as a fresher you should be able to put that much or more,
Hmm.
for because that's these are the current development years. This is where we're going to grasp the most, understand a lot of things. We know the industry more, know the nitty-gritties of how things are working, how the teams are working, what are different options available. So to understand this, if you don't give that time, you're going to fall back in
Sure,
the
sure.
race.
Gautam, I want your inputs also on this.
I am, I'm going to give you a very, very contrary opinion. First thing is, this whole 40-hour work week was introduced by Henry Ford in 1925.
Yes.
100 years old, okay? 100 years old. Fuck, they did not have. Okay, I'll cut this out. They did not have computers back then. They did not have productivity back then. So 40 hours was fine. But now, when you look at it, right now with so much productivity, still 40 hours. I'll tell you the logic behind this 40 hours. These guys get paid by the hour, the IT companies. So the more the hours you clock in, the more they can bill. If you go anything less than 40, their billing rates will go down. It cannot be justified. I believe we should go more into like a 3-day work week, 6 hours per day, done. Go and
Oh,
go into the consumerist world, spend, stimulate the economy so that you have a lot of things to do around. And that said, I also am a firm believer that in your career, first 2 years are where you make the maximum impact, the maximum learning. If you fall behind on the first 2 years, right? Then what happens is it sets you back for your entire career, that is for your entire life. So you try to do it. And when I look at Gen Z's particularly, because I've had the privilege of talking to a lot of them, if you tell them that there is meaning in what they are doing, and then if you tell them that you are going to learn something and you're on your own, they'll find a way to learn it. Okay, until they learn, they will not rest. They are more risk taking as well, and because of that they will learn it. Always there have been lazy people across all generations. So whenever we say Gen Z, we take the bad lazy Gen Z and then
Mm.
kind of standardize it for the entire thing. My belief is that you know don't tell him how many hours to work. Tell him this is the work to be done, he will get it done.
sure.
That is the way it should be. And in terms of working, the point is, look, we are not going to the number of graduates coming, the topmost employer in India is not employing 1 crore people. Okay, that is 1 crore people joining in job force every year. And you are expecting to solve this job crisis. Simple is, you make it 3 days 6 hours, then you double the job overnight. Like, I think Narayana Murthy was even cribbing about moving from 6 days to 5 days. So, if you look at things like that, right, then, it doesn't make sense. It should not be forced upon by the government, but it should be voluntary so that, people choose better companies for better work life balance. And people who don't get jobs can still work 5 days a week. Not a problem. I think it should more towards value. We have all been, technically, Karthik, if you look at it, a service is costlier. You can't file your tax return. You go to your auditor, he charges you more. You can't operate yourself. You go to a doctor, he charges you more. India is the only country where services is cheaper. That means you are not doing services, you are doing majdoori. So that is my objective. And these guys, even now, if you look at these IT majors, right, their only concept is finding low cost geographies. And they are going and setting up offices in Nigeria, Kenya, Indonesia, and all these places, and trying to find low cost geographies. What they don't understand is India itself has tier 2, tier 3 cities. Move your bases there. You can offer it at a lesser price. And I believe Gen Zs are, look, in 10 years' time, they will be MLAs, they will be IAS officers, they will be ministers. Then what will you do? You will crib that these guys don't know anything. And we were millennials. We were also dissed upon very badly. Whenever I talk to any senior people, they'll say, my generation was the last generation that ever worked hard.
Yeah.
You find calculators make the problem harder. Don't say you should not use a calculator. So that is my sense. I think Gen Zs will learn if they want to learn. You tell them, like, you were telling before we started, right? That you got bored in your first job, that you could have done it with a fifth grade IQ. Like, you were in the Y2K thing. And then, you had to test three cases. And, you got bored. So it took you 1.5 years to get bored. It'll take them 1.5 days to get bored. The time has shortened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is what I personally feel. You guys have thoughts on that, in your team, especially, sir?
Not in team, but in general, I do agree that there are people, if they put their mind to it, currently the Gen Zs, because they are, I would say that they are probably a little more intelligent than what we are, or the capacity at which the brain can work is a little higher than probably what we used to work at. But they need to apply that as well, and that application probably comes through understanding or being in the right work culture. So in that, yes, the timing and all, I do agree that it depends upon. That's why I said that it changes from project to project. Probably something would require more time, where you do need to put 40 hours. Some projects probably do not require me to put 5 days and 40 hours in a week, where I can reduce that and give that leeway to myself or the colleague, where they do not work those or 40 hours in the week.
So, for example, right, Sarvesh, I'm a computer science engineer. So, if somebody had given me the project that we got from the fintech company to me when I was in my final year in college, I would not have been able to complete the project. Is they gave an image, they gave a text,
Mhm.
and said you have to make this image talk like it is talking to you,
Mm.
and within 24 hours you have to submit. Still, 50 students were able to submit within 24 hours. Not if they knew it before or did not know it before. 50 students were able to submit it. And out of that 50, there were like at least 17 different variations of output.
Oh,
It was not all the same.
yeah.
17 different. So there were in certain things only the mouth was moving.
Mm.
In certain things the head was moving and making gestures as well,
Oh, nice.
along with the making the image talk.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a video. It's a making an image talk.
Yes.
So this was done by the students in 24 hours.
Yeah.
So now if you say that in 2012 when I was about to graduate, if somebody had given me this, I was not taught this.
Mm.
Rather, they are also not taught this.
Yeah.
They've made it work.
It's the
So
passion.
50
Yeah.
people did it,
Yes.
and 17 different outputs also came.
Mm-hmm.
So that means that these guys are capable. They
Definitely.
can do it in 24 hours.
Mm.
You make them work 40 hours. You say you have to come in this time, go out this time. Even if you don't have work, sit in front of the computer just like that. Probably we were more desperate for jobs and money in our time. They are not. They're like, it's all right. I'll become a YouTuber. So that is what I feel, Karthik. Well, what do you think? This is Vishwakarma students that I'm talking about.
No, no. What I feel, na, see, I'll tell you where I'm getting this question from. Um, when we send our students for interns, right, to companies, etc. So Most of the companies, obviously, the leadership which is there, they come from much earlier generation, so they have a particular work ethic. So they do expect students to adhere to times, even if your work is over. For example, they expect that you keep sitting, you try to ask for more work. You kind of, rather than saying that, okay, I finished my work, so can I go now? No, so that's not appreciated in the earlier generation. See, who ultimately call the shots. See, that's where the issue is. So I'll give you a classic example. So there was a company where I sent some of my students as interns. So the company had a nice table tennis court and things like that. So some students, they had the habit that they would go in at 9 and directly they would go to play
Mhm.
morning for 1 hour or whatever. Now what happens, some companies, they don't have very explicit policies also when you can play and so on. But what they internally feel is, if you're going to sit for 12 hours, then you can play for 1 hour. But if you're going to sit only for 8 hours, you should not play. See, this is an unstated policy in the company. So they were like, hey, how are your students coming? Then when I spoke to the students say, sir, we completed all our work and everything was going on task. So we thought that we'll go to the office and first play for an hour. They're still in the college mood and so on. But the company has unwritten policies or unwritten thought processes that no, you should work more. And these games we have all set up in the company premise, but this is only if you are going to sit for very long time, sit till late night or something, then you should go. But it's not written also anywhere, but they expect that you should know this. So what happens, as a placement officer, those complaints come to me directly, that hey, your students are doing this. Then I ask the company, have you put up the rules like this, that you cannot play at 9 o'clock or so on? No, nothing is put up. So then that's the time I started realizing there is a gap between the leadership in most companies, which would obviously belong to a much earlier generation, at least they'll be millennials or beyond that, and these Gen Zs, right? So that's the. So now I have a very standard expectation from my students. I tell everyone, see, come what may, right? 45 hours minimum you have to put in. That quantity is important, I tell them, because it's about that we are still, most of our leadership, especially in companies, they still have that mindset. If you're sitting in front of the computer and trying to pretending to work hard or trying to work hard, it necessarily means you're producing more, right? So they don't see this, that in a short time I have produced a lot of output, so now I can chill out. That's not appreciated by the leadership. And see, ultimately, whether we like it or not, this is the leadership who decides whether this intern will get a job, whether he'll get a salary raise. So you may say you have your Gen Z ideas, but then you'll have to sit at home at the end of the day. Fine, if that's what it is. So that's where I'm coming from, because I hear both sides. I hear the students as well as I hear the managers in companies who complain about the students in general, right?
I understand. Before I want to, I have a very strong viewpoint on this. Before I tell that, I want to ask you, Sarvesh, you have an engineering team working for you. How does a usual engineering team work? So you tell me, what is the typical day of these guys?
Uh, so even our working hours are flexible. So we don't have a fixed time that okay, you come in, you have to sit 9 hours and go. So even we've kept with the team, it is a little open, a little. It's not very strict as such, but we have at least like okay, you can't just get up and go at 2 o'clock and okay, now I'm going home. It's not that you come in at 9, 10, but it's not that you get up at 2 o'clock and go, and unless it's an emergency. Yes. But otherwise you at least work, you finish your work. If you for all the tasks for the day, whatever is completed or the project needs to be completed, if you finish a task also, but you can go on to the next task in case you finish it earlier, because there is always something else there. It's never that okay, this task is over. So when you're working at on a product or something, you can still make it better every time. So having that ownership also, like okay, this is the task which is given. I've completed it in 2 hours. Now I can go home. But then you can make it better. There are different things probably you've not thought of. So learning these things or acknowledging, at least acknowledging them that okay, there may be something else and I need to get there. To get there, they need to put in those hours as well, or at least uh, uh, they need to do that so that it develops themselves. It develops themselves as an engineer, as a person as well, and make them a more rounded individual.
Got it. Got it. So Shantanu, shifting, right? So we both work in startups, and it's always a grind and hustle kind of a thing all the time. You're never off that mode. But in a very established organization like yours, right? How would you say, you probably work hybrid? And how does a typical day look like? And how do managers there kind of handle these kind of situations? I have seen in big corporates, especially in companies that are heavily big in size, and from the US especially, I see that the policy is to get work done, not to clock hours. So how is it at your place, Shantanu?
So our team works more globally, right? So we have team for APAC, we have team for EMEA, for North America. So if we want to cater to these kind of client teams or client facing teams, right? We have to be there when they are there, because all the sales team need things on the go. So if someone is from APAC, right, he will have to be at 10 a.m. because if the market is starting right in Hong Kong at around in their time, you have to be there at 7 a.m. also. If there is a meeting set up
Hmm.
at 7 a.m., you have to be there. You can do later on post meeting whatever you can do, you want to do. So you can brush your teeth also post that. But yeah, but you have to be there in the meeting when the person is there. Then you will do your things. Then post that, some of the teams they are working are also from North America, so they have to be there when in their morning at around 7 p.m., 8 p.m. So our team is more flexible in terms of timings, but they get their own time to plan things accordingly. So in terms of project management, right, our like more RFPs, right, proposals are mostly, they are mostly project managers. You have to cater to each and every time zone, and in that way actually we work hybrid. Of course, now the company is calling them for 2 days or 3 days, but it's just for the management mostly, because even if they are working from home they can get things done, because we work globally, right? If there would be a local team working for a local client, of course they would have to be there. But if you are working globally, you are connecting anyways across Zoom and Teams, right? There's actually no need to come to office. So of course we are challenging their decisions, but management want them to be in front of them.
This is the grumpy jealousy middle manager who has lost control. Okay, so this is the same guy. He's like, how my life was tough, how can these guys life be easy? Come here, sit in front of me, clock in, clock out. I used to drive 40 kilometers to work, 40 kilometers back home. How can you get up from your bed without even brushing? You can start working and sleep when you want. That is not what I did. So how can you do that?
But the grumpy middle manager you're talking, he calls the shots. He gives the job to my student.
Unfortunately,
That's the
yes.
reality.
Unfortunately,
Yes,
yes.
that's the
But if
point.
you look at really, really big leaders, right? Really big leaders who head these organizations, right? They don't have a problem as long as work is getting done. Is these mid? That's why middle managers are cut off in,
Yeah.
in Amazon. They laid off so many middle managers, right? It's because these guys have no work than bossing these people. So if you're adding value, you're busy. So there should be no people manager at all. In today's day and age, there should be no people manager. Everybody is an IC by himself and is also helping the team deliver. If you have one person whose only job is to see whether you're coming on time, going on time, whether are you clocking in the hours, that's when this happens. That's why they're culling off all the middle managers. There is one famous Steve Jobs statement, right? We hired these management consultants thinking that they will manage these engineers. They did not know how to code. How will they manage the engineers? So we got all of them. The best managers are actually the best engineers who know how to code. So these are all grumpy old fellows who don't know to come out of their shell, and they are trying to fix you into their shell. Unfortunately, they are there. They will all be phased out very soon. With all these things, they should be phased out, because look, I have friends who work in global organizations. They all work on hybrid mode. They come to office twice or thrice a month. That also, whenever they come to office, they come to party. They don't come to work, because work is already done. And if there is work, that guy will work at 12 o'clock in the night also. If there is no work, that guy will sit and sleep. No problem. and they give vacations for then leaves for 1 month for getting married and all, versus corporate culture, like your marriage is Saturday Sunday, I'll give you Monday Tuesday, you report back to work in services companies. So I've seen these things happen. So when you look at it that way, right, so when somebody is at 12 o'clock online, the way that US manager calls the Indian manager, hey, this guy is online working at 12 o'clock. See if he is having a difficulty. See if he is unable to complete it. Let's see how we can help him to complete it faster. That is a manager material. Okay. Not, hey, this guy is off at 6 o'clock. So why is this guy not there? He logged in only at 11 o'clock, right? He should clock in 9 hours today. So that is the wrong material. And if you have that kind of people, right? So they judge you based on your input, not on your output. So that is wrong. And that said, yes, uh, it is it is kind of essential for a fresher to put in the number of hours so that that person is able to learn a lot upfront. But it is his decision.
Mhm.
You cannot tell boss, this is early of your career, 100% carpet rule. Everybody should blanket rule. Everybody should, kind of do this. And that is he wants to be unemployed at 27. Let him be unemployed at 27. Let him repent his actions. So we often say, hey, this old guy is driving Swiggy at 40 years, 45 years. What he was doing when he was 20? He probably, just goofed around the city, and now he's driving Swiggy. So that could be 80% of the population. 20% probably they had a genuine reason, but 80% they screwed up their youth, and that's why they're doing it. You cannot pity at them, right? So that is my sense of particularly. What do you think about
But
my sense?
so I do agree. Like yes, for all of this to happen, there has to be a give and take. When a company is giving you the leeway to or work flexibly, do say limited amount of time, then the as a employee they should also feel the responsibility or the ownership, or take up that ownership that okay, this is what is given to me, I need to complete it in time, or do something along with it. So it I think it's a give and take. So if the company is giving, the employee should also give back to the company. It is not a one way thing. So a lot of people do think that okay, the company should do this for me, but then they're not thinking from like if you think from a company perspective, the company will also expect something back. It's not just like for an employee, yes, you will grow in a company, basic hike what they need to give they will keep giving. But if you want to excel in the company or excel as a person, you need to put in that extra. As you said, 20% people probably do not do it, or 80% of the people uh, do not put in that time, and afterwards they repent on it. But yeah, to avoid that, I think that's employees are forced to probably sit in a place. Okay, you have to put in those 9 hours. But sitting in front of the computer for 9 hours or doing your job for 9 hours doesn't mean that you're productive in those 9 hours. That the employee needs to check from his side as well.
Absolutely. So Shantanu, how does it happen in a very big corporate setting? How to, because these kind of issues, no, it's when you are, physically present across the desk, and it's a handful of people, like, in a very decentralized system like a big corporate. What matters, and how do managers manage those kind of things?
Yeah, of course. So before that, I want to touch up your point, right? I actually agree to the point, right? Because if you see working from home, right, especially in Indian infrastructure, it has become very conducive for us to work from home rather than going to office. If you see, there is Blinkit, Flipkart, and Zomato, right? You can get everything at home. And if you are at home, you are very productive because you can get everything within your hands. Like you want food, you can order it. You don't want to turn, the travel time is of course not anymore, right? When you are at home, you have all the products, also all the tools for you, all the fancy LEDs, all the fancy keyboards. You can buy everything at home. JP Morgan actually, uh, they give around 1 lakh for setting up everything
Home
at home.
desk.
Right now, I think they are not giving because they are calling everyone for 5 days, but they used to give 1 lakh for setting up their own things. So you can take your all cool things, right, you can work from home. If you go out right now, like if you it's almost like afternoon, if you go right now afternoon, go out for office, you will come inside in 1 second, you will see like so much heat. Like India is like, the infrastructure is not capable right now to handle so much of traffic or so much of people. If you go out, if you want to reach to office from here, it will take almost 1.5 2 hours. So if someone wants to travel 4 hours a day just to do a kind of work that can be done like 4 hours, right, 4 to 5 hours. So the thing is, people are asking in some corporations to just come to the office, show your face to the management, and then go back. People are telling that. But how's that? Like, is this the make the they have just make the rule out of it? And the thing is, that kind of culture came from the mass companies mostly, because there will be 2 or 3 people within your team who are taking advantage of work from home and all. So for those 2 to 3 people, the whole team has to suffer. That I have observed within the global teams. I have seen that. So maybe you have to solve the root cause first instead of applying everything to the whole team. The thing is, they are now considering averaging out the presentees, like how many times you are coming, they average out for whole team, and then they will send to the management. So for averaging out the person who is not coming a single day to the company, the other people are maybe compensating for that person. So you are actually giving up that talent, right, just for the convenience of ones. So that kind of culture I have seen in many organizations. Coming to your point, right, how we manage those kind of problems, right? So you have to go to the root cause. You have to apply Six Sigma, right? You have to go down. You have to see what exactly is causing the issue, and then of course you can solve those things.
So I also feel this, okay. These MNC companies that come to India and set up the GCCs, right? So their notice period in the US is 15 days, whereas in India is three
3 months.
months. I'll tell you why this is happening. Because they think that leadership needs to be from India. They just plug and play with all these services company guys, and all they know is body shopping.
Mm.
Okay, so how you do it is, the problem with services companies, they will see how much they can extend the timeline, how many resources they can bill, and how long they can milk the client. So this is against the value system. So if you go to, let's say, a Fiverr and you hire a freelancer, okay, to get work done, normal delivery 5 days, say $300. Express delivery 2 days is $700. So people pay for premium and fast delivery, like all these quick commerce, Blinkit,
Yes.
Instamart, like Zepto, though, it puts handling fee, this fee, that fee, and all of that. So you don't even, you have to go and apply the free delivery every time, or else, $30 done. So that people are willing to pay for value. So this is, I believe, the whole GCC should bring their leadership from there and put them in India, so
Mm.
that percolates down the organization. You hire somebody who has worked under Narayana Murthy for 25 years and you put him on top of a GCC, that guy is going to tell the same thing. That
Yes.
is what I believe. So the technically speaking, all pardon me, everybody above 50 should be sent home. Like, have your life, and then
I'm 49.
no, as in what happens is, look, the Ratan Tatas of the world, that believed in young talent, and he invested in startups that would make matchmaking for older people. So those kind of things happened. It's not every, but when you see Narayana Murthy dissing about AI, right? Like, boss, you've not built one product properly and marketed it in your, entire tenure. And then now you are, all that, because they know to just do what clients ask. So
Mm.
those kind of things are what I think is very, very, important. And you tell me, Karthik, if somebody is measuring you by the number of placements or the number of hours you are in college, actually if you are in college, it is detrimental for your work, right? So why would somebody measure you? So then they're like, Karthik, so I'm from the sales background, so we are different designations, but from the sales background, not from engineering. Okay, so if you look at it, we can effectively do 2 meetings a day, effectively. If you plan very well, you can do three. If you plan anything more than that, you're screwed.
Mm.
That's all we can do. So if you look at 8 hours, half an hour, 1 hour is the actual work. The other 7 hours is, in fact, sometimes 10 hours is spent traveling back and forth, up and down. If you're
Mhm.
taking one flight just for one meeting, right? You're working, technically, you're on road for 12 hours, 13 hours a
Yeah.
day. But, you want to be an Usain Bolt who runs 10 seconds every 4 years and is, world famous. You don't want to be running for 7 hours and then nobody. Do you know who is the marathon gold medalist? None of us. I also don't know.
But we know
So,
Usain Bolt.
we know
Everybody
Usain
knows.
Bolt. We see him for 9 seconds
Yeah.
every 4 years. That is what is this generation, is what I feel. And that is high power engineering team. Deliver fast, chill. So that is what I like. I think that should be done. And leadership also, they should bring people from there that will percolate their culture, not hire these, service Buddhas and put them on top of these engineering teams.
Adaptability to the latest this thing is required, definitely.
Yeah. The hiring culture also should change because thing is right now, if you know, right, many of the companies are being more liberal according to Gen Z's things, right? Like the paternity leave, it wasn't there before. Now they're actually having paternity leave
Yes.
in their companies around 4 months or 6 months. Some people, what they're doing, right, to make use of it, people are studying because in terms of Indian males, right, sometimes in terms of paternity for first 6 months, mostly the wife would be at her place, like in their micas. So that person will get so much time in his paternity leave. People actually work for another, like they will
Moonlight.
study, yeah, moonlighting, or they will study and get a new job, a better job from from what they are doing. So people are there to like make use of many things, like
Yeah,
Ex-
actually, this paternity leave concept this came from the American world where there's nothing like going to Micah, your
Mhm.
mother's place. But in the Indian context, it is different. So I think it will have to.
now here also we are like, of course, together. It's not like
Yeah,
it's changing in India. Thing is actually it's good thing, but some people, as you said, right, if there's a mass company like Infosys or Cognizant, so those people will have in the ratio, right, the people will be more who take like
yeah,
bad advantage of
who
these kind of
misuse.
policies,
Yes.
misuse these policies. So that's why I think they have created that framework so that these people won't do anything, but other people are suffering.
I have a point here.
Yeah.
It is his paternity leave. Let him do whatever he wants with it. You sack him whenever. Look,
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
India is corporate hypocrisy personified. Okay, if you go to Europe or any socialist countries, 3 months notice period. It is enforceable both ways. You go to pure capitalist economy like US, no maternity benefit, no notice period. You want to leave, you leave today. I want to send you, I will send you today.
Mm.
Enforce, both are both ways. India has 3 months enforceable by the employer, and if employer wants to fire you, you are fired immediately. That, and no white collar law, nothing. It is hypocrisy of first order. And when you can fire him whenever you want, and you are telling him he should not do, like in your day, 8 hours is just 33% of a day. Okay, you have another 66% of a day.
Yep.
If you sign up with any company, it says, boss, if you work with me for 8 hours, you should not do anything else in the remaining 16 hours. You sleep, you do whatever you want, but you should not do anything. And I will sack you whenever I want. At 40 years, when I consider you useless, I'll sack you. Then you figure out what you want to do with your life. How is that fair? How is that fair? Let him do.
Yeah.
So if somebody in your team is working on a side project on Upwork or Fiverr, how can you control it? You would actually encourage it because it will bring in cross-platform learning, right? How would
Yeah.
you look at somebody in your team, freelancing on Fiverr service? Let's make it personal.
So, so freelancing. So in this again, see if you give that leeway, uh, I would be bold to say that okay, as an Indian mentality of a lot of people would be like take they like if you get a leeway, they want to like if you give a finger, they'll take the hand. So
Mm.
that's how most of the people think also, or how they operate becomes something similar to that. Like okay, you give them a leeway to do something, they will take advantage of that. They will not. If you give them time to do something on their own, they will not give 100% to what actually they need to do in the company. So we have tried that as well. we have got our fingers burnt in that as well. But it is that it depends upon the individual who is doing that. So we still don't restrict people to stop learning. So online courses, whatever are there, whatever are required, we make them available from the company to the employees respectively. But it should be related to something what they're doing or they want to do in the company.
Okay.
So if you want to grow, yes, you grow. We do allow that. So we buy, if they're paid these things or free these things, we make them available for the particular employee such that they can grow themselves. So as a policy, we say that we're not here the growth of the employees for, we're making the growth for them so that they can be successful people in the industry, whether be with us or with someone, but we want the growth of the employee. So that's what as a company we do look at.
I understand the reasonable restrictions with which you will have to operate. What is your take, Karthik? I know maybe I'm talking this because I've seen it is benefiting me if somebody is working on different things. That exposure kind of comes back.
See, the fear, Gautam, here is what if the employee is working for a competitor who is in your same domain? See, that's also, see, the point is misuse of a facility is the fear. So he's a co-founder of a company. So let's say he'll have a competitor. A guy works for him and, 8 hours he does and another 3 hours he puts for the competitor. So you don't know then what happens as a result of that. Maybe some business that would have come here goes there or whatever. So these are the challenges actually. This is the main reason why they say. And see, and at the end of the day, see, at one point we also say that a human has an amount of time when he's truly productive. I mean, I agree with this certainly, that if someone says, I'm working consistently 12 hours a day and all, it's all crap. You can't actually put in real work. You maybe, as you were also saying, right, we may do 2 3 meetings a day and other time it's a little lighter work. So the amount of time when you can actually be very focused and contribute, that remains limited in time. So permitting multiple jobs, etc. Of course, the example that Shantanu took about, okay, paternity leave using to be trained, I think that's the personal prerogative of an employee. One shouldn't go too much into that. That part is okay. But working, so for example, for professors, there is a rule by government itself that you can't be, in the role of two colleges. You can't do that because in one college, if you have to be productive and you have to contribute to those students, I can't say I'll be in another college. So now there are systems where the AICT and government organizations expect every college to upload the names of all their professors with their some ID, Aadhaar card or whatever. And that cannot clash with somewhere else. I mean, no two colleges cannot claim the same person. This is all done just to ensure that wherever you are actually doing proper justice to it.
There are still workarounds, right? You can get a consulting invoice, you can still do it. So I
There
think
are, there are. I know people doing that. For example, I have a friend who works as a professor somewhere. So he started his own financial consulting business. So that's in the name of his wife,
hmm,
who's at home. But all the work is done by him. So there are workarounds which you cannot avoid, but at least grossly you will not be working for a competitor, right? So see, those things are important.
I think it's an hiring issue. If the person is integrable enough, if the integrity is intact, he'll not do that. So it's probably a hiring issue that you find if the person is have that kind of integrity before he kind of
Hmm.
joins you. And because there will always be murderers, but if you doubt the person sleeping next to you is a murderer, then you will not have a peaceful sleep. So as in, so that yeah, there will always be people who will exploit. And moonlighting in word generally, it's a word that was invented by these jealous people. Like, he has time, he is working, so what is your problem? You did not have time, or you did not have work. So now you found a word to kind of instigate it. I kind of understand from a startup's perspective, boss. If I tell him you do it, then he will not do my work. But if he doesn't do your work, we find a replacement. So
But then that's a whole
it's
other process as well, right?
it is time
There'll be
taking.
deadlines. See, you've gone through a process to hire someone, and then firing and then getting someone new again through the same process, going through all the filters. That does take time. And it takes time of everyone. the whole cycle, it has to go through everyone, the project manager. So he has to spend separate time away from the project, or away from what actually the product or the what the company needs, to what to a job which was already completed earlier.
Understood. I understand. Yeah, there are
And there
both
are
sides
two
of the
ways, yes,
coin.
yes,
But
definitely.
yeah, at a high level, I believe it should be standardized, and companies should move towards this to lure better employees who are value driven, who will work 7 days a week, 16 hours a day if required, but will chill for 16 days straight if there is no work also. So that kind of employees is what we all want in organization. So if tomorrow Karthik is going to say, I will bring 5,000 placements for you in 1 week straight, and I'll not come to the college for the rest of the 1 year, management will still be okay with it,
Mm,
provided the work is done. And what he does with the remaining 365 days is prerogative, and he does whatever he wants. So that is my high level
that's-
overview.
Integrity is required from both the sides, and there is a give and take here. So without that give and take, it's either one of the side is going to feel bad.
Uh, that's there.
Yes. As you said, it's two ways. If someone is giving, the other one also should be giving in this particular scenario.
Absolutely. Shantanu, your take on it, maybe I'm a little more on the, I side with the Gen Z a little more, because, and, I believe that, you have to believe that somebody has integrity. Then only he'll express that value. If you doubt him, like, anyway, he doubts me, why should I be you know, good? That is the point, is what I think, Shantanu.
No, I think in Sarvesh's company, right? If there are 16 people, it's actually manageable if someone is. Yeah, please. Yeah. Yeah, it's manageable if there is a close environment, right? 16 people, you can at least one person can see 16 people in the office, right? And that person can manage. If you see the companies kind of Infosys, Cognizant, for example, how it happened with Ola, right? Like Ola, as a company, right? It had very few, like when it started, the service quality was actually very good. People were liking it. Once it scales, right? Once it expands, it's very difficult to control hiring. That kind of control maybe you can learn from Google, Microsoft, right? All kind of companies who have already tightened their like not tightened the hiring process, but they have a good hiring process. They have good kind of interviews that take the people who are going there, I think still are very integral about their work. That's why they have that sustainable model with them, right? They can work anytime, they can work from home, and still the company is progressing that way. Maybe we can learn from those kind of firms how to hire people, how to hire a quality engineer into the firm. And then integrity, of course, is part of interview. One interview should be there as a, like I'm in a process of completing my CFA, right, chartered. So in that there is a section called ethics, which is a very big section, and they get like 20 to 30. And so in US actually, I have seen it, ethical sense they have integrated in many courses, ethical sense, even if it is CFA, law, and anything. So those kind of learning should be there within, like in any courses also, and within the organization. In terms of hiring, one interview should be there as an ethical interview. Like psychometric tests we have, right? In terms of that, we can have an ethical interview in this position. How will you react, how will you do? So
So I kind of, but I believe the system is rigged against ethics here, because how I see it is, look, when I first drove in the US, I drove in the West Coast. It was very orderly, okay, very orderly. Like, people will, you will be able to see the previous car,
Mm,
cars tires. So that they call bumper to bumper traffic that.
yeah.
So, and people will let you go. If it's your turn, they will let you go. So, if there are four cars standing at a crossroad with a stop sign without a signal, they will know which car was in line, and they will let that car go and then go. So, this is because, the landmass is huge, and there is no, what do you say? Nobody is, vying for each other.
Yeah.
Okay. And my stupidity, I rented a car in New York. I landed in Newark, and then I rented a car and I drove into New York City. I didn't know the parking fees was so expensive, this, that, and all. When I went into I thought Americans drive so well. And then when I went into New York City and then I drove, I saw the taxi guys doing this, that, and all. And I'm like, oh. I did not. I don't know where it is. This is also US. So because there it is congested,
Mm.
and you have to be ahead, and you have to get ahead. So automatically that comes. So that is not a virtue of every American. It's not a virtue of
Yes.
every New Yorker.
Mm.
You understand, right? It's
Yes.
the situation that decides. Similarly in India, when the opportunities are very less, and you have to make it forward, the system is pitted against you. You have to ensure that you kill two people on the way to the front. So that happens as a, more of a systemic issue than, personal choice. I not say it's right or wrong,
Yeah.
but it is, I'm just
Yep.
observing what is the situation. So if I say, I'm going to give one company, and then that company is going to hire just five people, and then the company is known to both the placement officers, I would want that five for my college first.
Mm.
I'm not saying that I want him to die, but I want to live as well, right? So that is where it kind of gets dicey. So thank you very much. I want to kind of get into something called decision dilemmas. Okay, I've been putting you all guys, in different spots, asking you questions. I want to finish it off with a corporate rapid fire kind of thing,
All right.
where I ask you. You don't have to explain why. You can just tell me. Okay, I'll start with you, Shantanu. So pushback or compromise whenever people ask you for working more hours?
Pushback.
Uh, Incremental change or big overall?
Incremental change.
Client priority or internal standards?
Client priority.
Align or challenge business?
Challenge business. Yeah.
Short term delivery or long term scale?
Long term scale.
Okay. Sarvesh, I wanted to go with you next.
Yeah.
Lead a large team or stay hands on?
For me, hands-on.
Okay. Will you hire somebody based on potential or experience?
Uh, If I'm looking for a fresher job, potential. Otherwise, experience.
Okay. So, delivery now or long term architecture?
Long-term architecture.
Uh, Central control or team autonomy?
I think team autonomy.
Okay. Fast MVP or perfect prototype?
Being a small company for us, it is perfect prototype. That's how we are operating.
Okay. So I'll go to Karthik. So Karthik, we've had this many times. So for Karthik, every time the question is very similar. Is broad base, as in keep it broad or go deep as a fresher?
Keep it broad.
Internships or research?
Internships,
Theory or practice?
practice,
Okay. Employability or entrepreneurship?
employability,
Okay. Local industry or global giants?
local industry.
Okay, got it. So we're done. So as in now, I want to kind of wind up with a little bit of contribution. So we are doing this as a broader initiative to kind of make the student understand what corporates think, what do leaders think, how do they think, so that it will give them an insight into what nowadays with all these things, right? We want to be able to, for the student to be able to sit across a leader and talk to him and understand what he's thinking, and that's what podcasts are helping. So we want to kind of see how we can contribute more towards making students more employable. When I say employable, whether it is in terms of being there for the college, lecture, giving guest lectures for the students, or in terms of offering internships, or in your case in terms of research projects where you collaborate with them, or straight up giving job offers. So I just wanted to ask, how do you think you can contribute, Shantanu, in this, let's say giving back to Vishwakarma kind of types?
Surely. So after post my engineering, right? So I've worked with almost four companies, being Capgemini, mm, JP Morgan, Moody's Analytics, which is Equity now, then also State Street. So I can definitely have, so I have contacts within every firm I'm in. So we can, of course, collaborate with those firms to, and many of the firms have their offices in Pune also. So we can definitely tie up with those new firms. If we don't have types right now, we can definitely do that. in terms of connecting to different industry. Since I have also done MBA, I have connects within my MBA alumni committee across different organizations, so we can make connect with them also, so I can help in that. In terms of curriculum, right? Since I have been into global team environment, right? So I know, like like in big organization, what kind of systems, what kind of automations are running on, right? Which tools we are using for automating things. So we can definitely add those tools within the curriculum to learn for the students. So yeah, and I think I am also part of the Bangalore chapter of VI Alumni Network, right? So you can definitely reach out to me if you need anything within Bangalore, not just about placements, right? If you are already placed and if you are in the city, right, you can definitely reach out to me for any career insights. So I'm definitely available for that.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Got it. So, Sarvesh.
Uh, for the students, I would say that like looking from a company side, I would say internships or mentorships could be provided so that they can work on relevant projects which we directly work with customers. So we've had interns who directly worked on customer projects as well, where it was not directly working on, but being a part of a project which is directly given to a customer or handed over to a customer. So we can have them be a part of that as well. And uh, like being from the mechanical side and we work with data analytics, there are competitions, various competitions as well, which happen like FSAE and all. So we as an organization, we are already thinking about how we could help them as well, because we also being on data analytics, because they require da- the data, or that would make the team a little more aware of what they're doing, or give them a slight insight into the aftermarket also, like getting into the industry also. So that's what even we were thinking of. Probably we can explore that arena as
Sure.
well. And yeah.
Perfect. Sounds great. Thank you very much. Thank you
Thank you.
once again, and thank you for both of you for making it on such a short notice. And special thanks to Anant Rangarajan, who's a head of strategy at Geo, who made this possible, who kind of pulled all the
Yeah.
strings to ensure that you both are here. Actually, Anant did the groundwork. He ensured that they said okay, and then he passed the contact for me to kind of coordinate, and we did it all in a very short span. Anant reports into the Ambanis, so
Sure.
that's a kind of right. And thank you very much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you
Th-
once
Thank
again.
you so
Thank
It
you,
much.
was
gentlemen.
great.
Thank you.
Finally, you made it possible for us to be in the 1% of podcasters. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.